Good morning. Hello, everyone. Namaste. I thought to do something a little different today. So just pick out one of the Upanishads. So let's do the Manduka Upanishad. And I'll kind of go through it off the cuff. So let's just go ahead and see what we get. This is from the... This is translated by Swami Paramananda is the one that translated this. So, okay. The beginning of it starts with a peace chant. Om. May we hear with our ears that which is beneficent. O Devas, may we behold with our eyes that which is beneficent. With a strong, well-poised body and worshipful heart, may we enjoy life and perform deeds which are pleasing to the deity. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, peace, peace, peace. Okay. Om Brahma was the first of the Devas, the creator of the universe, the protector of the world. He taught his oldest son, Atharva, the knowledge of Brahman, the Supreme, which is the foundation of all knowledge. Yes, when one gets to Brahman, or one can say sometimes Parabrahman, that which is without aspects, then all of the rest of the illusion, all of the things one has gathered and collected fall away, and is replaced by that unchanging is, that absolute knowledge that comes in the wake of that. Okay, so the word Om, frequently found at the outset of Vedic study, is used in the sense of hail unto thee or adoration unto the Supreme. Om is also that sound which one hears that runs like a thread through all of the universe. It's unending. If you've ever heard that, if you ever have that city, that happening, it's without beginning and without end. All you hear is this Om, and you know it's without beginning and without end. It's a very unusual and very strange thing to hear, but one is possible within their path at some point in time to hear the Om, which is the primal sound, the beginning sound, the primal sound. Okay. Brahma is the personal aspect of deity as distinguished from Brahman, the absolute. Okay. Brahma is the one that has aspect, form, moving, dynamic. Okay, Brahman, the absolute, is that which everything springs from, that I call intellect without knowledge, that absolute pure potentiality that has everything contained within it, which will come into the world of the divisionary. Okay, so let's go and see what it says. It says, he represents the creative power of the universe. Right, the divider realm. He is regarded as the foremost of all the various aspects of divinity, known as the Devas. Okay, the Devas, or gods in Vedic scriptures, are bright beings, each manifesting some divine quality and holding some special office in creation. They correspond to the angels and archangels of Semitic scriptures. Okay, so in this they use Brahma as like another analogous name for Shakti. So you have that which is the unchanging is, and that which is the dynamic aspect that has persona, that has all of these attributes attached to it. Okay, so let's continue forward. This knowledge of Brahman, which Brahma taught to Atharva, and Atharva taught first to Anjir, and Anjir taught it to Satyavaha and Bharadwaja, and Bharadwaja taught it in due succession to the sage Angiras. Continuing forward. Shaunaka, the great householder, having approached the sage Angiras with fitting humility, asked of him, "What is that, O Bhagavan, revered master, which being known, all else becomes known?" Okay. Well, it was customary in ancient India for a pupil, when he sought instruction of a holy sage, to approach him bearing in his arms a bundle of wood for the altar fire. This armful of sacrificial wood, called in Sanskrit Samipani, became the symbol of discipleship, representing a desire to serve even in the humblest capacity. Okay, I say also that not only is it showing a willingness to serve, to gain this knowledge, it also shows the aspect of the student. Now, if he comes with green wood, okay, that wood is not going to burn well, okay? So it's not going to be a very good student. You want to come with wood that's already ripe, prepared, ready to be burnt. It has to be dried. It has to be ready to accept the teachings, has to be ready to put itself on the fire, to go through what's needed in order to gain this wisdom, okay? So there's a little more to it than just showing that they're willing to serve, okay? Those ancient teachers did not give out their knowledge for a certain fee, as it's done in modern educational institution. Exactly. A traditional guru, a traditional sage, does not give it out based on price. You cannot sell truth. You cannot sell the serious path. It's just never has been done. Okay. It says they were wholly independent. They did not seek pupils. On the contrary, they were very careful whom they taught. The pupil was obliged to prove his worthiness by humility, earnestness, and patient service. Exactly. You can't buy it. And that's always been the premise here as well. Not everyone is ready for this path. Not everyone is ready for this modality. Therefore, those teachers, those gurus, are not world gurus that are giving out this ultimate knowledge, that are willing to aid people to break through the illusion and delusion of the Dvaita world and the Dvaita mind. Okay, so let's continue forward. The sage said to him, "There are two kinds of knowledge to be known. So are we told by the knowers of Brahman, higher knowledge and lower knowledge." Okay. And that's one thing I always said, which really drove the Brahmins crazy. I said a Brahmin in the old time, before it became a birthright, was a knower of Brahman. I said, if you're not a knower of Brahman, if you are not a realized being, you are not a Brahmin. You don't understand what the threefold cord is. You don't understand the path of that. Needless to say, they weren't happy to hear that. Oh well. Okay, let's continue forward. Lower knowledge consists of the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Arthavada Veda, phonetics, ceremonial, grammar, etymology, meter, astrology, and higher knowledge is that by which the imperishable is known. Okay. So that's true. You know, there was one in Rishikesh when I lived there, one school of thought that they could just study their way to realization. I don't care how many books you read. I don't care how much you memorize it. It is not going to take you to Advaita. You cannot get there by intellectual knowledge. Intellectual knowledge is always the Dvaita realm. Okay? And that which cuts through everything is Advaita, when the mind is still, when one has gone before. I call it intellect without knowledge. It hasn't been layered over by these things which occlude and go into the divisionary realm. Okay? So let's continue forward. The Upanishads make a clear distinction between secular knowledge, apara, and the knowledge born of direct vision, para. Secular or lower knowledge not only includes astronomy, ceremonial, rhetoric, and all branches of intellectual studies, but even study of the sacred scriptures. Okay, you can be able to recite them backwards and forwards, but it doesn't mean that you understand that which is the absolutely primary part from where they come from. And until one is realized, they will always have some mental spin on it. Okay? You have to be able to come to realization to see it with absolute clarity. Okay? So let's continue forward. Any knowledge which is acquired through study is classed as lower knowledge, because merely reading or hearing about truth is not knowing truth. Aryan sages did not discredit the study of books, but they recognized that theoretical knowledge must always be inferior to knowledge based on direct experience. Exactly. You know, again, you may be able to sit there and debate something. You've read it and you can debate it, but there's no debate when one has gone beyond into that is. That unchanging is. There's no debate at that point because it's absolute clarity. It's not based on assumption, what you think you know, what you've read, what you've experienced, etc., etc. It's cut through all of that to that primary is, which is unchanging. Okay, so all doubt is gone at that point. There's no possibility to have any doubt at that point. Okay, because it's just that absolute reality. Okay, and when that reality is entered, it's not changing. And then no more can any of these occlusive and divisionary experiences make any difference to that ultimate reality. Okay, you know those divisionary experiences for what they are. Okay, elusive, ever-changing experience. Okay, so let's continue forward. That which cannot be seen, which cannot be seized, which has no origin and no attributes, no eyes, no ears, no hands, nor feet, that which is eternal, diversely manifesting, all-pervading, extremely subtle, that imperishable one, the wise regard as the source of all created things. Yes, everything that comes into being comes from that is, from that primary Parabrahman, that comes from that. Okay, Paravidya, or higher knowledge, is that which cannot be perceived by the senses or our ordinary faculties. Exactly. It's beyond what is felt, tasted, heard. Any of those things, when you have an experience and somebody thinks they've had an experience, the experiences happen to a persona, okay, to the ego. I've seen this, I've seen that, I know this, I know that, I've experienced. Well, when one enters realization, there is no person that it's happening to. There's a dramatic shift. It's not something that one sees. At that point, one has deconstructed into that is. The only thing that exists is that is. The idea of that ego self has been absolutely torn asunder. It no longer exists. It was the illusion and the perception of gathered experiences which one has held as something separate, as persona. Okay, so all of that deconstructs in the moment of realization. Okay, Let's continue forward. It dawns in the soul only when senses, mind, and intellect have become pacified and full of serenity. Exactly. You're no longer seeking. The mind is still. It's not rising, it's not falling, it's in that quiet. It's been blown out. At that point, realization is entered. So let's continue forward to see what this says. We do not gain ultimate realization, here it comes, until we have subdued the turbulence and unrest of our mind. There you go. Okay, let's continue forward. At present, the greater part of our effort at knowledge is physical. Yes, while your persona, while your ego, then you only go based on what you see, what you feel, all of your senses. That's what you gather things by. Okay, let's continue forward. And this is the thing I wanted to say. You know, I've tried to explain this, that, you know, they say you have all wisdom once realization is entered. Now, I haven't read it, I haven't gone through this prior to reading this. But if you rest in realization, what you speak is going to be right in alignment with these Upanishads, with these Advaita type of writings. Okay? There will be no separation. There'll be no something that's off. Okay? You'll be able to have the explanation because you rest within that reality. Therefore, it's very simple to see where they are going with this. It's not something you have to sit and think of. Oh, what did he mean by this? What did he mean by that? What is this? What is that? It's your reality. Okay? So let's go forward with this and see what they have to say. At present, the greater part of our effort at knowledge is physical. We wish to see with our eyes and grasp with our hands, but through these channels we can gain only objective knowledge. Right, you can only gain knowledge of that which you can see, hear, and touch. And that part of Brahman, that Brahman is beyond that. It's prior to that. Like I said, it's the light beyond lights. It's even beyond the light which you see. It's the light beyond lights. Okay, so let's continue forward. While knowledge of God is subjective, this is evident from the definition of the Supreme given here. He is unconditioned and beyond the reach of our physical senses, our mind and intellect. To perceive him, we must cultivate another state of consciousness, which is done through the practice of meditation. Okay. It's done through a process of allowing the mind to still. So now in this path, what we teach is how to sit and confront the mind. Neti, neti, not this, not this, not this. What is this I? Not this. If it's something that comes and goes, that cannot be the eternal is. Okay? So it's by a process of sitting, not getting caught up and run out in this way and that way. It's by stilling and seeing and confronting. And when all of these things have been seen and done away with, the mind begins to still, it begins to still, it begins to still, until finally it reaches that tipping point where one is pulled into realization. Okay, so let's see what they have to say in this Upanishad. Okay, as the spider brings forth and draws in its thread, as herbs spring from the earth, as hair grows on the living body, likewise does the universe come forth from the imperishable. Yes, everything that will come into existence comes from that. That is, that pure potentiality runs like a thread. That life force, the life of all life and the death of all death, runs like a thread through all of existence. That's why I said, when you get to realization, it's the greatest joke. You couldn't have got away from it if you tried. Because it's the essence of your being. Without it, you would have no life. There would be no life. It's the life of all life. And one enters the realization, it's the death of all death. One has never been born, one has never died, one has been this eternal is, always. Okay. So yes, anything that's going to come into existence has its basis in that unchanging is. Okay, let's continue forward. We're on verse 8 here. Through tapas, Brahman expands. From this food is produced. From food comes prana, energy, mind, the elements, the worlds, good works, and their immortal fruit. Okay. From that one who is all-perceiving and all-knowing, whose tapas consists of wisdom, are born Brahma, the creator, name, form, and food. Okay, tapas is like an austerity that one does. It's that spiritual practice that one goes within, that allows that dross to be burnt away. Again, another symbolism of the firewood. You become that firewood. Okay? The Guru lights this fire, and it continues to burn until that log becomes ash and it's blown away. And the only thing that remains is that is. Okay? It's another way to look at when the sadhaka is bringing that. This is the practice, this is the way, this is the path that one goes. Okay. Tapas signifies spiritual discipline, known variously as penance, austerity, etc. It's not simple, okay? Let's look forward. The word tapa literally means heat. Okay? So again, let's continue just what I was trying to explain to you. And it's employed in this case because spiritual practice is supposed to act on the system like fire, consuming all impurities. Yes, like the Bible says, you will be burnt like dross, refined like gold. Okay. Kundalini awakens and it burns out all of the drama. Okay, it goes through all the layers and levels of consciousness, all 7 levels of consciousness. Okay, it's like the roto-rooter of consciousness. And there will be times when Kundalini can feel like a fire burning. You think you're going to spontaneously combust. Okay, the 3-fold cords that the Brahmins wear represent Kundalini. Okay, that is part of the path, to have that awakened. That goes through the system, it goes through the consciousness. It brings up all of these things for the mind to look at. Netty, not this, not this, not this. Don't get caught up in realms and experiences and drama, because while those are very self-affirming to ego, they do nothing to help you break through to realization. Do you want realization or do you want powers? Okay, so they are something to show where you're at on the path, but if you get caught up in them, they are stumbling blocks. Okay, so let's continue forward. This interpretation, however, cannot be applied to the present text, as it is evident that Brahman, the Supreme Lord, has no need of purification. Okay, so it's used here to signify the fire of wisdom, which, like all fire, expands. Out of this wisdom fire burning in the mind of Brahman come forth the creative power and thence all form of material manifestation. Well, no, this is not talking about Brahman. This is talking about that fire that is used to purify the sadhaka, the seeking mind, the divisionary. Okay, to bring it back to Brahman, to bring it back prior to all of that. Okay. Okay. So let me see how much we have in this second. I've never gone through this. Okay, they've got quite a bit of this, the Manduka. Okay. There is a second part, but I think this is good. We'll stop right here at the moment and see if people want to hear the second and the third parts of this gone through. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying your day, continuing your paths forward. Namaste. Have a great day.